Welcome to Taming Tech, the podcast, episode 3. I'm Kathleen Ogier.
Hi there, I am Paul Ogier, and I am sitting next to Kathleen Ogier.
In today's episode, we speak to Mareli Pottas from Dube Pottas, a group of
medical social workers
based in Johannesburg. Dube Pottas is 5 years old and has grown quite quickly in that time. Often when companies are growing quickly, they have to spend a lot of money on tech. Dube Pottas has simplified that process. They have made it work for them. They have utilized the G Suite applications to run their companies and their systems to manage their staff. And this has resulted in them not having to have huge capital outlays whenever they onboard a new staff member. It has also meant that they haven't had to spend huge amounts of money on buying customized systems for themselves.
They haven't had to buy on-site servers. They haven't had to employ IT people to set up those on-site servers and to support their staff.
These staff are also located in various locations and hospitals around Gauteng, a province in South Africa. This has meant that they need to find innovative ways to manage and collate their staff and their systems across all those different regions.
And the staff are not just sitting at computers the whole day. They're interacting with patients. They're getting emails on their phones. They are talking with patients and patients' families on video chat for most of the day. So they need something that is quite flexible and quite easy to understand and quite easy to implement for every single one of their staff.
Yeah. Being medical social workers, their emphasis, their focus isn't on technology. Technology must be in the background and it must just work for them. And they've got that right. We are recording this during COVID, and so when Paul was speaking to Mareli in this episode, we're talking to them at a highly stressful time. They are first-line workers in hospitals dealing with the very strenuous protocols that COVID requires. They are fulfilling more functions that they normally fulfill because family members in hospital aren't able to see their family, etc., etc. So it's been really great to see is that their systems have worked through this and continue to work for them. They haven't had to change anything. It's just been flexible and it's supported them through this change.
The thing that you'll get from this episode is that, and Mareli was a bit concerned about this, is that being on a technology podcast, she said to us, but she isn't a technology person. And I think that was actually the point of this podcast episode, is that because she wasn't a technology person, she wasn't going to go into highly technical explanations about things. She just wanted the systems that she had put in place to work for her and her staff.
What I really like about that is that we always are focused on not just the technology, but the people. In this podcast, we're exploring people behind the technology and people using the technology. Technology is great. We love technology.
Agreed.
But it must work for people and people must be able to work with it. And with Paul's background as a teacher, he always is concerned about how people adopt technology and people adopt things in different ways. Just as we learn in different ways, people adopt in different ways. And we thought that Dube Pottas was a really great example of people who aren't typically technology focused and are focused around human beings and human being health, physical and mental health, and how technology can support that. If you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about starting a company, or you've already started a company and you're looking for ideas on clever ways to utilize technology and bootstrap it and not spend a fortune, this might give you some ideas. If you are interested in becoming a medical social worker, this could also be a really great podcast for you to listen to, because you can speak to somebody who has years of experience. And you can find out what is required of medical social workers and the environments in which they are working in.
So if you are interested in G Suite or Office 365 or any cloud applications, this will give you an idea of how normal people interact with that technology on a daily basis. So let's get into the interview. How's it, Mareli? How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm not running around in hospitals. I'm working from home today, so everything's good. And like you sort of like are at home now, but you have been at hospitals, I assume.
Yes, not working from home.
Okay. So what we normally do to start off this podcast is we normally do a quick questions to allow the listeners to understand who you are and get a little bit of a background about you quite quickly. So quick questions, quickly. Here we go. Are you a morning person or a night person?
Definitely morning person.
Okay, so you're one of those irritating people that sort of like jump out of bed and sort of like just go, hello, morning, and you've got sort of like birds tweeting around your head like a bloody Disney princess.
Yeah, in fact, when I was a child, my parents didn't have to wake me up for school.
Oh God, that's terrible. That's terrible. I can't even say that's a good answer because it's sort of like it's a terrible answer. I disagree with you intensely on that one. Okay, next one. So if you could eliminate one thing from your daily routine, what would it be and why?
So I am not the average Afrikaans girl that likes to cook. If I don't have to cook tonight, that would be awesome.
Is it the cooking thing that sort of like upsets you? The trying to get ideas and inspiration on what to cook? What is it that sort of like messes with you?
Yeah, I'm not really good at it, not really interested in it, and yeah, just don't like it.
Okay, so do your kids sort of like entertain themselves and feed themselves, or do you kind of go, oh God, it's 5 o'clock, I have to make something?
No, unfortunately, I have to make something. But, we do appreciate the occasional takeaway as well.
Okay, that sounds good. I think that during lockdown, it was one of the things that actually frustrated me. Like, it's Friday now. I'd like to have some takeaway, and I just couldn't.
Yes.
It was very weird for me.
No, it was hard.
Yeah, you have to cook 7 days a week, 3 times a day. Yeah.
Yep.
What is your best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
So, on a personal note, I think that something that I've used since I was young, a student, or maybe started my first job, one of my supervisors told me that when you do feel a bit down and off, not having a good day, you feel like you want to just wear tracksuits, not bath, wash your hair, but then do it. Get out your prettiest dress, put in effort with your hair and your makeup, and then, they will turn out different. And I've been doing that all my life, and I think it does make a difference.
Well, I'm going to take that under my wing. I'm not going to do the makeup yet. I'll ease into that, I think. What is your favorite piece of technology?
Well, currently it is my Samsung S20 Note phone, which is brand new, and I love it. I love it.
What do you love about it? The size of the screen, the fact that it says Samsung along the top?
Well, yeah, it takes the most amazing pictures. I do like the size, but yeah, I'm sure that probably not even using half of what I can use it. My teenagers are very, very jealous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an awesome phone.
My mother sort of like had a very amazing computer that was handed down via us to her as a secondhand computer for her to check her emails. And she always used the expression, it's like she's sitting in a Ferrari playing with the radio. So that might be the same thing with your phone.
Yeah.
What was your first computer experience? Where did you first touch a computer? Where did someone say, hey, have you tried this thing? What is your first computer experience?
Eesh, I'm going to have to reveal my age.
It's okay. It's a safe space, this. There's no one listening.
Probably in varsity. So I actually remember that far back. I wasn't that into them because as a social worker, it's not really, part of your job until much later. And
now that you've got your new phone, have you already set it up with a different cell phone wallpaper? Has it happened yet, or are you still on the default wallpaper?
No. I change my wallpaper every second day.
No, why?
Because I love it. I am quite a sucker for little motivational quotes.
Okay.
And there's hundreds of free wallpaper that you can download, which I'm sure you're well aware of.
Yes.
And choose the one that's nicer than the other. So just change it, and it's just nice. Every day you open your phone, you have a new one.
Okay, so share what this one is currently. What is this one saying? What kind of motivation is it? Is it saying nice to Paul, or is it saying
no? This is
so just a bright, sparkly one with flowers, and that's very tie-dye 70s, 60s. Love is all around us kind of wallpaper. I like it. I like it.
Oh.
Okay, so getting to the meat and potatoes of the podcast. What on earth is a medical social worker? What's the difference between a medical social worker, which is what you guys are doing, and I'm going to do in inverted commas, a normal social worker? I mean, we see the movies where the social worker comes around to a bad house where there's drugs and everything like that, and they take the children away. What is that anywhere close to what you're doing, or what is a medical social worker?
Yeah, so I think a social worker as such we are advocates for the less, the less fortunate, vulnerable people, and we to enhance their social circumstances. So yeah, the welfare social workers, they would take children away that's being abused or alcohol. So we don't do any of those things. We also don't have statutory rights, which means that you can go to court. So the medical social worker also enhances the patient's social circumstances, but we focus on their illness. So we educate them and we put them in contact with all kinds of resources so that when they go home, they're safe and, the family can actually look after them.
I think normally a hospital is a terrifying experience. You don't know exactly what's happening. The doctor might not have the best bedside manner. They're using words that you don't understand. People are coming into the room and injecting you with stuff all the time. And now with COVID, it's even worse because you can't have your person next to you. You can't have your support, your spouse, your children, your family next to you. So are you a emotional support as well? Are you, what is?
Yes.
I mean, as an IT person, I often said that my job was about holding people's hands and guiding them through technology sometimes. Is that kind of what you're doing?
Yeah, so I think we can be seen as the link between the family, the patient, and the hospital. And the hospital means everyone working there, from doctor to physio to whoever, treats the patient. And just giving them a lot of education and just supporting them emotionally to get through it.
So there's a lot of communication that's actually in your job.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, as I said, the hospital's stressful, social work is stressful. Your staff are in various different hospitals in and around Gauteng in South Africa. They often are often the only social worker in that hospital. So, I mean, that's stressful. And now, again, with COVID on top of that, you guys can't even meet and get together. So my question is, you only had your first in-person meet 2 days ago. How do you coordinate with your staff? How do you sort of like talk to your staff? How do you manage a company when everyone's in so many different places?
So we used to meet with them before COVID, but since then, we just had to use the technology that we have. So social workers, our profession, we have to have supervision. That means that you discuss your cases with a more experienced social worker. So my business partner fulfills that role in our practice, and she sees every social worker every week, and they can then discuss their cases with her, but also it gives them an opportunity to offload and debrief with her about everything that they experienced. Yeah. So
are you guys doing that in person? Are you doing that via Google Meet?
So she used to do it in person. She would go to each hospital, visit them once a week, according to her calendar. But now, in the last 6 months, we've been using Hangouts.
Okay, cool.
So she's.
And how is she doing? I do know that Monica, your business partner, is older. Let's say that as a nice way of saying it. How old is Monica?
She's 70.
Okay.
So she's very experienced
Yes.
social worker. They are very privileged to learn from her. And I'm very proud to say that she has managed to use Hangouts very well. The only frustration is, the Wi-Fi connection. But she could jump on her calendar and, meet with them every week, see them face to face. She said it's very hard when they sometimes sit and cry in their office alone. She can't touch them and give them a hug. But she could, the fact that she could see their face, made a difference than a telephone call. Obviously, when the connection was bad, she would phone them. But and she also sometimes used WhatsApp video calls, but mostly we did it with Hangouts.
What I have found, just to sort of like go into that a little bit, is that with hospitals, there's a weird thing that happens at hospitals. When you sort of like you go to a hospital, sometimes your remote for your car doesn't work properly, and sometimes your cell phone doesn't connect properly. Is that because of all the x-rays and everything like that they've got running around? It just feels like hospitals are almost like dead spots in terms of cell phone signal and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's really bad. The connection is very bad. I mean, at our hospital as well, it's just terrible.
Yeah. No, it's quite amazing. It's sort of like you almost walk into this dead spot and you kind of go, well, fortunately you do have Wi-Fi, because sometimes if I have to WhatsApp people, the Wi-Fi doesn't go through, but SMSs sometimes go through.
Yes.
So yeah, no, it's definitely quite frustrating. Now, you're talking about Monica and the fact that she's speaking to people in this situation, which is quite stressful, and she can't reach out and touch them, and you can't give them a hug. How do you guys manage these kind of stresses for yourself and your staff?
So I think we practice what we preach, which is that you need to talk to people when things are too much. So, they do talk to us. We give them time off, day off. We made sure that all our staff took leave during some time in COVID. We forced them to just take a bit of time off. But if we arrange regular group, debriefing sessions with psychologists, with some of our colleagues, and if they need individual sessions. But because Monica is such an experienced social worker with about 40 years of experience, and she also has a master's degree, she's very good, and also she's got very close relationships with them each. So she basically, are able to deal with their feelings. Otherwise we encourage, we have quite a young staff, they're in age. So most of them are fit, eat healthy, do sports, because I think in our profession, it's something that we encourage patients to do. Yes. So it's also something that we do, because it is quite a stressful job.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. I think IT is stressful, and then I think no one's going to start crying. Actually, people might start crying. I'm going to sort of like ignore that one. Let's. Yes. Yeah, social work and IT are as bad as each other. Yes.
Yeah.
So now the fact is that you guys started your company 5 years ago, if I'm correct?
Yes, June 2015.
Okay, so 5 years ago. And in that time, you guys have grown dramatically. You started with just 1 or 2 people in one hospital, and you now are at how many hospitals and how many staff?
So we have 23 staff.
Okay.
And I think we may be at 28 hospitals.
Okay. Yeah, no, so how has the fact that you guys are in different hospitals, you've got so many different people to deal with, how has technology managed to keep up with this growth? And I think that a lot of people who are starting their own company are going that route and saying, well, if I put something in place here, how does it scale with me? And what are your insights for that, for other people that are hoping to go through the same kind of growth as you guys?
Yeah, so I think I can't even imagine doing it without technology. We get referrals, so we're dependent on referrals, obviously, to make money. And we get referrals via WhatsApp or emails. So the fact that the social workers have cell phones and also laptops, but you can't, have your laptop at the hospital all the time open. So the whole Google Drive thing has been really great, because most of them have their emails on their phones. If there's an urgent, because it could happen that you get a referral and then you home, you drive all the way home and then you see at home, oh, there was another referral, drive all the way back. So I think that has helped. And also to communicate, with WhatsApp with each other, to say that I'm running late, or families are running late, or so I mean, I just can't imagine them doing this job without technology.
Look, the thing for me is that obviously email is important, on your phone is important, but the thing for me is that if you're looking at what you guys are dealing with, people who are under stress, they've got emotional things, they're alone in the hospital and stuff like that, they need to have someone there. And I think the fact that you guys actually have someone that can get an email, says that this person's there now, is quite important. So you've said that you guys use email, you use Google Drive. Obviously there's calendars that you guys share with each other. If someone goes to a particular hospital, there's certain people they want to meet with. So it seems like you guys are actually using a lot of the cloud functionality of G Suite. Actually, it's in the last couple of days, it's not called G Suite anymore. It's now called Google Workspace, because that just upsets the whole apple cart. Normally a person would be at work and then they they have to stay at work to do all their admin. You guys are now more flexible. You say that they're at work, they can work on their phones, they can work on their laptops, they can go home, they can do their admin at home, they can do all of these things. If you guys had servers and you had things like that were on a specific site, it wouldn't be as easy for your staff to work.
Yeah, no. I think, that we work with other practices, and there are some very smart, very expensive programs for allied health professionals out there, which I don't even know about. I mean, I don't think we're the only ones. I've found out that there are actually smaller practices that also uses this, but for us, it's been amazing, because, you basic thing that we need to do is daily stats, which they do in a spreadsheet. And we even share those with our external company that does our billing. They've created, a folder that they can get our stats, so that we don't have to export them into Excel sheets, so we force them basically to use Google Drive to also open that. So that's the main thing, that you would go to work and then there's a mistake on your stats. And because that's, the main part of our business is billing, they need to be able to change that quickly. So that's very nice. And then, just to have all the forms and the emails available, all the files that we have sharing. I mean, you can basically get anything you need to do quickly. So if I give you an example, the other day I was at a coffee shop and one of the social workers needed an urgent letter from me, like she needed it right now. And I could go onto the drive, write something on our letterhead and share it with her. And there she had the letter to go to the doctor, so that, she could get whatever she wanted to. So that's been amazing.
The thing is that often when people talk to me or whatever, they say, okay, well, our two options for email productivity are Office 365 or Microsoft 365. Everyone's changing their bloody names now. So Microsoft 365 or G Suite or Workspace. Which would you recommend? And it's one of those things that I kind of go, well, it depends. It depends on what your staff complement looks like, what your needs are, everything. And I think the thing that's interesting with you is that you do have a fairly young staff. And your staff have all grown up, Gmail address, they've all grown up with everything cloud-based. We're not going to give away your age or my age, but we were around from before there was internet.
Yes.
Yes, and then the internet that did come around made beep 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 noises when you had to connect. So I think for you guys, the Google G Suite has been more of an implementation easier in implementation than something like an Office 365 or a Microsoft 365, because your staff have already bought into the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think, I mean, most of the universities are using it as well. So definitely Tikkies does. And, you know, we have quite a few of our staff members that studied there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have actually, when we started using it, taught us a few things about, you know, sharing before we did your courses. You know, they could show us stuff. So, I mean, we do have a few older ones that struggles, but I think once you get the gist of it, that it's very similar, you know, instead of saving, you sharing or you make a copy. That's, yeah. So it's been, I think they all enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, you talk about the saving. I still have this unconscious habit of pushing Control S on my keyboard to save, kind of going, oh, it's already saved. I must stop doing that. But it's definitely a habit of mine. Or like, where is the save button? Are you sure you've got it?
Yeah, so you have to, I think the thing is you have to make a copy. You know, you need to make a copy before you start a document. So it's just a little bit of a mind shift, but once you're in it and you know all the benefits. So most of our staff also use Hangouts to WhatsApp each other, you know, instead of WhatsApp actually. So they use Hangouts.
The Google Chat. Yeah, the Google Chat.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how they communicate. When the admin girls wants, you know, documents from them or they want stats done or whatever, we basically communicate on that. So that's also nice.
Yeah, I think the thing that's also nice is you did speak about the fact that other practices have software that they use to manage everything like that. The software sometimes can be a hell of a outlay in terms of capital, and it's something that a lot of small companies can't actually handle. They can't handle that kind of capital outlay. And what you guys have done is you've said, okay, well, we've got 5 people, so we'll have 5 email addresses. And then when you've got 10 people, and you have 10 email addresses, and it scales with you. So the more people that you have, the everything scales with that, which is quite nice. You also don't use any sort of like on-site IT people to come and install Word or come and install Excel. So that helps a lot. So as we spoke about earlier, there's a lot of communication that you guys do with your staff and your patients and things like that. Is there one product that you use more than anything else?
So I think for communicating with families and, you know, doctors at the hospitals, definitely emails. You use the email. So I think that's why it's also nice. I mean, I know, you know, generally you would think that you shouldn't have your work email on your phone, but in our situation where you have to communicate, you know, you email someone from overseas. These days also, you know, not even before COVID, we have a lot of patients where the children, which is, you know, our age, are overseas, and it's like an 80-year-old lady here where, you know, so we communicate to the son in USA and the daughter in the UK. So those emails works well for that. And then we do use Hangouts to communicate with each other internally in our practice. But then since we had COVID, we've actually also used, you know, WhatsApp calls, but also Hangouts with families because we were the person in the hospital. So they would like to see their family member as no one was allowed to visit. So we found many people have Gmail addresses, or maybe they don't have it, but it's an easy, free thing to create. So we used that quite a lot so that they could actually see the person in the hospital. And I think that was very rewarding for us, but also families have really appreciated that quite a lot, just to see that their father is still okay, you know, and that that the patient can also speak to the families, being the one in the hospital that can't see anyone. So used to the Hangouts meetings that even though we had our first staff meeting, you know, 2 days ago, which was very nice to see people, it's still, you know, very good to have Hangouts meetings. You don't have to drive. So especially with Monica, I think going forward, she wouldn't ever go back to seeing them week by week because, you know, the expense of the petrol and also time-wise, you know, driving from the one hospital to the other, it's just so much easier, you know, just to quickly talk. And also for them, you know, it's better for planning because if she's not stuck in traffic, you know, when she has a meeting with them 11, it's 11, you know. So that just opened our world quite a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When your staff started, there were some that were battling a little bit with G Suite or the using of the products, and you guys did one of the courses that we put together on Udemy and used it to train your staff. So how many of your staff have done the courses, and has it improved their confidence? I mean, did they know everything that was there to know, or sort of like has it improved their way of using the products?
So mostly the admin girls did it, and it definitely helped them a lot. And I found that they actually taught the others to do certain things because they found the right way or the easy way to make a copy, or just things that you didn't actually know, like how to create folders, like good ideas on how to make things easier for yourself. And then the one actually, with our staff meeting now, each month we give them another tip, like just choose 2 things and say, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this or how to do that. So at the staff meeting, because we can share the screen, I would also show them, this is how you can do. So we've been training them, on what, just, easy things, what they can do. Like I know that's not really part of the G Suite, but the whole thing that you showed us how you can do your WhatsApp on your computer has also helped all of them as well. So they, most of them have their WhatsApp on their laptops as well. So, but yeah, like little things like that, we're trying to teach them, because I think they don't always have the time to do the course.
Absolutely. Look, I think if you have a specific thing that works properly for your company, it does make it easier to say, okay, you guys, we're all doing this one thing. This is the best way to do it. And then everyone's on the same page. So that's great that you're using the course and sort of like practical experience to make it better for you guys. I find a lot of companies that we deal with, they say this is what we're doing, but they don't sort of like communicate internally with the staff. They don't say this is how you use your folder structure. This is not how we're going to start sharing with people. These are the people who have access to these folders. And I think the fact that you guys are actually putting stuff into practice and saying this is how we're all doing it, even though some people might be resistant to it, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I like to organize all their files the way I like them. So
yes. Yeah, but you've also been doing this for a long time, so you understand the concept of folder structures and things like that. So it does make sense, and they might roll their eyes at you at some point, but at some point they might not.
Well, we found that it's easier to have one folder, for each social worker, and then we can access. So you don't have you have a folder for Mareli, and then your stats and your documents are all there. So it's just easier that way for us to access it. Yeah.
You guys are obviously on the front line. You are sort of like, you've been working through COVID. You are working in the ICUs. You guys at the bottom of every single one of your emails have a little signature that says your name and your telephone number and your the latest thing, like a brain injury awareness banner or something that sort of like says about what's actually happening. But I think my favorite part about your signature is that you've got a photograph of each and every one of your social workers. Does it help?
Yeah, so I think that is one of the most amazing things. Not all my staff like it, especially because they're young, so some of them have asked me, like in the space of 3 months, to change the photo when they change their hair. But we have had so many compliments from other companies, from funders, from just wherever, that this is just amazing. But the social workers themselves have said that it has helped them so much, because they would email a doctor to say, I've seen this patient, can I come and fetch a referral letter? And the doctor would say, yes, sure. And as they walk into the reception, the doctor's PA would recognize, oh, you're the social worker that emailed, so it's a nice way of starting, communication. But yeah, basically it makes it more personal. This is the person that you are speaking to. You can see that, this is who Mareli is. This is how she looks. So it's just, it helped us a lot. Initially, they really didn't like it. Some of them have asked me, do they, can they not have a photo? And I just said, no, this is how we do it. Each one of us have a photo. We have a designer that does the photos nicely. They're all black and white, so they're not, they look very professional. And we've had, like I say, I think that's been really great. Good compliments.
As far as I understand, you started in PR. Do you feel like this signature at the bottom of your emails is almost an homage, a harkening back to your start in PR? It's sort of like almost bringing the PR to social work.
Yeah, I think I was a social worker, and then I went out of it a bit, and then went into PR, and back because I had the opportunity to do this practice. But quite interestingly, just a random fact, quite a lot of my friends that social workers went into PR because PR is basically building relationships. And I think when you're a social worker, you're very empathetic and compassionate. So it's one of the things that we're supposed to be good at is building relationships with people. So yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I do like doing marketing, and I like promoting that. So I think it was part of the idea to do this.
Your line of progress in this, it's not a straight path, and I find it interesting because you are saying that PR and social work has similarity to it. What is the next thing for you? What is going to happen in the future for Mareli Pottas?
I think that when I started this, I would never have thought that we would grow this much. I really didn't, I never thought when Monica and I decided, basically the hospital group said they're going to outsource the service, and the two of us knew each other because we both worked at the hospital, and we decided we're going to start a practice together, and give this a go. And I think she had a bigger vision than me because I was happy to just stay at one hospital, have a few social workers working for you, and yeah, we just grew so much, and the service just so I don't know, I think her vision is to even go further than Gauteng. And I think it's great to put social work on the map, in the medical field, because it's not a very common thing in South Africa.
Look, I mean, I personally think that you're an inspiration for other entrepreneurs who've started a business and have grown a business. And yeah, I just think that you and your staff are obviously often dealing with people on their worst days, and I hope you hear this a lot. But thank you for the work and the service that you do.
Yeah, not easy. I mean, we see quite a lot of very sad, traumatic things, but it's nice that that you can make a difference.
Absolutely. Final thing: where can people get hold of you if they want to talk about you, if they want to help you expand, if they want to offer you hospitals in the Western Cape? Where can people get hold of you?
Okay, so the email address is info@dubepottas.co.za.
Yeah, I'll put that into the show notes as well.
Okay, and then our telephone number is 011-489-1341.
Perfect. That's on the South African code +27.
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mareli. I really appreciate you talking to us.
Thanks, you too.
Welcome back. What did you think?
One of the things that I really enjoyed about this was I really enjoyed how Dube Pottas has integrated mental health into the management of their staff. They're
Agreed.
not just concerned about their patients' mental health, they're concerned about their staff's mental health. And I think that COVID has really brought that to the forefront for all of us. It's great to see how Dube Pottas has been using technology to support the human element, the human contact that they're making with their patients as well as with their staff. And then it took on this other aspect as well during COVID, where they were able to reach out, as Mareli said, to family who were overseas, or just, they could have been down the road, but not able to see their loved one in the hospital. So that's really great that technology has facilitated that. And I think we've all experienced that to some degree during COVID.
If this had happened during the 90s or even the 80s, it would have been very, very difficult to reach out to people, to have that connection, whether it's via video chat, whether it's via a WhatsApp call. It makes it much more challenging to interact with your family when you can't be right next to them.
If you don't have technology.
If you don't have the
And the
technology.
technology now allows for it. For.
So I really hope you enjoyed that episode. In the next episode, we have Ruben Bass, and he is doing a WordPress plugin called Boy. And Boy is a little widget that you put in the bottom right corner of your website that allows people to contact you nice and quickly and easily through WhatsApp, through Facebook message, or just through like a normal email.
So join us for our next episode to hear more about that.
If you would like to subscribe to this podcast, please go to taming.tech/subscribe. And if you would like to see the show notes for this episode, it is taming.tech/3. That's the number 3. Because this is episode number 3.
Yes. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.